Hey guys, EDDBUD here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm discussing what exactly is Nike's running shoe direction in 2021. Hey cats, new year, new gear, new shoes.
We are ready for you.
So as I said, I'm discussing today what Nike's running shoe direction is in 2021. Way back in November of 2019, I picked up Nike's React Infinity Run Flyknit. Certainly a heavier shoe with stacks of midsole material. Much more cushion certainly in the midfoot and the heel, and vast amounts of rubber on that outsole too. Quite a departure really to what we've seen in Nike shoes previously. Many people around this time accused Nike of copying Hoka One One with that sort of movement towards max cushion and certainly those flared heel areas as well. As we progressed through 2020, we saw the company release a whole set of new shoes with varying different characteristics. One such characteristic though has been the increase in weight across the whole line. Aside from racers like the Street 7 and the Vaporfly Next Percent, all the other shoes have been quite a bit heavier than people anticipated they would be. In my UK size 11 or US size 12, there are a whole host of different Nike shoes that were above the 300 gram weight, including the Tempo Next Percent. Gone are the days of those sub 300 gram offerings from Nike, like the Zoom Fly for example, and the React and Zoom equipped Pegasus Turbo line seems to be shelved for the time being. We've had a load of new shoes introduced, the Nike React Miler, which is again very heavy, the Vomero 15 as well, which already seems to have been superseded by the 16, and that mammoth Pegasus Trail 2 as well, which seems ridiculously heavy. Now, not forgetting the Pegasus 37. The Pegasus 37 gained another 10 grams on the Pegasus 36. Just everything's moving in that same direction. I think Nike's move to eliminate Cushlon and Lunarlon from their running shoe lines has resulted in heavier shoes all round. Reacts in pretty much everything now. I think that did send quite a lot of consumers running away from Nike, looking for more nimble alternatives, and there were many out there in 2020. Lots of people picked up the Hoka One One Rincon. It's just so much lighter, more nimble. The Fuel Cell Rebel, for example, or the Beacon from New Balance. Even Asics dropped a load of sub 300 gram shoes. I'm thinking the Evo Ride and the Dynablast. Not to mention Reebok's Energy 2 or the Run Fast 2. But was it just the introduction of React foam that's made all of these shoes heavier? Two of the bigger shoes that were released in terms of the midsole stack were the Alphafly Next Percent and the Tempo Next Percent, and one of those is purely made up of ZoomX. The other's got some React in it and half ZoomX too, so is it just the weight that's keeping people away? I think the other thing to consider here with Nike's offerings is the gradual shift towards a much wider footbed. The midsole and outsole setups are certainly getting wider. The React Infinity Run Flyknit 2 here is the widest yet, 12.5 centimeters in the forefoot and 10.3 centimeters in the heel. I mean, when we compare that up to something like the Streak 7 for example, this one's 11 centimeters in the forefoot and 7.6 in the heel. So there's a massive difference. Huge difference here. They've kept the Pegasus line relatively similar. There's only a very slight difference in the surface area between the 36 and the 37. But as mentioned, the big changes come in the Tempo Next Percent, the Alphafly and the Infinity Run. All those have got a 12 centimeter plus outsole surface area in the forefoot, and there's increased width in the heel as well. 9.5 plus in all three. You see lots of comments, people suggesting that the 4% Flyknit and the Next Percent aren't really that stable, and when you look at the actual outsole surface area you can understand why. Of course, with those wider and much higher midsole stacks comes more foam and more weight. Perhaps that's the reason Nike have chosen to offer Zoom air pockets in the forefoot and the heel of some of the shoes recently. I mean, that was the whole reason for putting a Zoom air pocket in the Air Max back in the late 80s. Obviously air's light and it reduces the weight of the shoe. Is the increase in the width and surface area of those footbeds down to the injury prevention research that Nike did right on when they were developing the Infinity Run Flyknit? That's of course a very attractive carrot to dangle in front of runners, and a very good way to sell running shoes, I would imagine. I think boldly stating that a running shoe can help to prevent or reduce the chance of injury is a very dangerous thing to do. They did indicate at the time of release as well with the Infinity Run Flyknit that it was going to supersede the Structure series, or at least if you use the Infinity Run Flyknit over the Nike Zoom Structure, you had a reduced chance of injury. But as you can see, there's a new version of the structure on Nike's website right now. When the first version of this shoe came out, they made a big deal about that very wide toe box and that extended heel area in the shoe. Also the geometry of the shoe as well. All of those three things were part and parcel of their big ad campaign for it. There was a big focus on efficiency of your running. And does the increase in the width, the shape, and the underfoot stack have a big effect on that? It certainly seems to me that Nike have some information that leads them to believe that the larger stack heights are helping in some way to reduce a lot of common running injuries. That's obviously a great thing if you're a running shoe company, because if people are able to run, then they're likely to buy more shoes. One weird piece of information I did pick up on was that back when they released the initial version of the Infinity Run, they suggested that that shoe was for runs between 3 and 10 miles and not for long runs. Certainly not one for intervals or speed training or tempo work. So in this case, what pigeonhole does the ZoomX Invincible fall into? As you can see on screen, there's even more foam in the ZoomX Invincible than in the React Infinity Run Flyknit. Though Nike are suggesting this time out that the main job of the ZoomX Invincible is for those long runs. There's a huge amount of rubber on the bottom of the ZoomX Invincible, almost a square shape there in the midfoot, and a very aggressive 4-foot slope as well. I shall certainly be very interested to see if the feel of the foam in the rear of the shoe there is any different with all that channeling that's been taken out of it. Is it just for weight relief? ZoomX doesn't really weigh that much. Is it just for aesthetic appeal, or is there a very significant design reason? I did notice there is a stability clip, as per the Infinity Run, on the ZoomX Invincible. It almost looks to me like the upper's an amalgamation of the Nike React Miler and the React Infinity Run Flyknit. Lots of protrusions on the outsole. That could lead to this shoe being a very versatile one, capable of taking on a variety of different terrains. Interesting to see they've included some higher abrasion rubber pieces on the outer portion of the forefoot and the heel, although they do appear to be reversed from what we would see on something like the Adidas Adizero Pro, almost like they're in the wrong place. I don't think it's going to be long before this shoe launches, and we can soon check out the chops on Nike's latest, wider, heavier, and probably more expensive hybrid daily use shoe. Where do you see Nike's running shoe lineup going in 2021? I know loads of people that are really shunning Nike products right now, just due to the weight, really. Lots of people love the Next Percent, but in terms of daily use, all I see running around is Asics, and quite a lot of Hoka shoes right now as well. Not forgetting that 1080 V10, people love that shoe. Let me know what you think Nike are going to do in 2021 down in the comments. A quick musical recommendation for you. I hope you're having a peaceful start to 2021. I think the ultimate album to start the year off is What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Flying High in a Friendly Sky is a beautiful song. It's just so peaceful. You can almost feel the stress drifting away from you. I really like Mercy, Mercy Me as well. This whole album really is about Marvin Gaye almost trying to come to terms with lots of problems that are going on in the world. I think it's always a very relevant album, even now. Certainly is one of the classics from the Motown recording label. I think the cover's so iconic as well, with Marvin Gaye stood there in his coat with the rain coming down. Really is a picture that just fills you with all sorts of different feelings. Definitely one to check out. If you've never heard it before, please make sure you do. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Okay, it's time for me to rock and roll out of here and get going with 2021. It's absolutely freezing here at the moment. It has warmed up a tiny bit as the day went on, but I think as the nighttime comes, it's gonna get down below zero again. So make sure you stay warm, cats. Thanks for watching through to the end. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you've subscribed and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. It really does help out too if you give this video a thumbs up like and share this video with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you